Today we're going to be looking at the Kotobukiya The Defender series Daredevil Black Suit ArtFX statue. This 1/10 scale pre-painted model kit is from the Snap Fit series, so you snap the limbs together to build the man without fear. And just how tall is the man without fear? Let's go ahead and take our tape measure. Putting it next to the statue itself, I think it would be very safe to say that it stands 7 inches in height. He comes with a very familiar looking sight, the square display base that has come with many of the ArtFX Kotobukiya pieces. The underside, we've got Marvel Now, Marvel.com. And the statue itself does have magnets on the undersides of his feet. The magnet is not the most secure fitting, but at the very least, it does allow you to place the figure any which way that you want. If you want to have him further back on the base, you can certainly do that. Dead center, you can also accomplish that as well. And while I wouldn't say you would be able to tip the figure upside down, as it would not be able to retain its attraction, it is definitely one of the notable traits, and one of the things I like so much about the Kotobukiya pieces is that it doesn't limit you where you can put the statue. A lot of other companies may put very obvious pegs and very obvious peg holes on the undersides of the feet, telling you exactly where it has to go. Kotobukiya, on the other hand, lets all the control and leaves all the control in your hands. Okay, so at the beginning of this review, I said that this is from the Snap Fit series, so what I did was I took him apart, and this is how he looks when you get him out of packaging. A pair of legs, which probably doesn't serve much purpose just yet. You also get yourself the torso piece, which very clearly tells you which way it's going to go based on the shapes, the shape of the peg, the shape of the peg socket. Line those two up, just pop them into place. You may not get a satisfying snap in place, but at the very least you'll know exactly how far in it can go, and you'll get a very sealed enclosure. Go ahead and do the same thing with the other arms. The arms here are indicated in R and L, but you'll probably know right off the bat which way the arms are supposed to go anyways. Simply just line that up. The arms do involve probably a little bit more pressure to get those in, and then we can go ahead and do the same on the other side as well. And also, just in case you're wondering, the L, there should be an L there, or maybe there's not, would go on this side, but again, very easy to snap into place. The arms may involve just a little bit more pressure, and then you've got yourself the finished Daredevil here. This is pretty cool. He comes with his Billy Club batons, in this case in the more nunchuck design, but instead of them making it in a rope, something that just has a very limp structure to it, instead they've given you it as a wire frame, which is perfect because you can display the figure, slide those into his arms, or his hands, slide it into his other hand, and you can either display it like this, which obviously you'll see that there's a lot of excess here of wiring, then lends itself to how exactly you can display the figure. Now really, the wire frame is in such a way you could technically rotate it, and he would be able to retain a little bit of lift to, if you wanted to have just the baton on its own, which is kind of cool. Or what you can also do too is drape it around, and exactly how you want to do this is entirely up to you. Make sure you've got a little extra space to work with. Slide that into place, and then you can have the baton look as if it's been wrapped around his body, which is a really nice touch. I like that a lot. Again, they really could have just gone the route of giving us rope, connecting the two to rope, or at the very least they could just make it a plastic loop, which wouldn't have very little creativity behind it. This allows you as the collector to display Daredevil exactly the way that you want. And you just go ahead and take the display base and display him like that. So let's go ahead and move the display base out of the way and have a look at the statue of Daredevil. Now this is the Defender Series version of Daredevil, so he's going to be sporting an all-black outfit with many red accents. There is also going to be currently there is also available in the original red costume as well. So if you are somebody that likes the Daredevil head to toe in red clad, you can certainly have him displayed in the red outfit if you want to pick up that figure as well. But we're going to be looking at the Defenders version, which here is donning a glorious looking black costume. And I say glorious, which is probably not the best word to describe black, but it does allow red to pop on the statue, especially when you look at his eyes, which pierce through the black cowl that he is sporting here. I love the look of the red eyes here. The head sculpt is really well done. Slightly a paler skin tone happening here around the face, but Kotobukiya seems to go with the route of a lighter, fair skin, which works perfectly, I think, for Daredevil here. Don't be dismissed quickly by the skin tone being so light, though, because they've airbrushed a slightly darker area around the mouth, and it looks like they've airbrushed a little bit around the cheek area as well. But the head sculpt is really nicely done. The furrowed brow is a nice touch, and here, in this case, we've got the mask that sports the nose, as opposed to the area covering over the nose. The smaller Daredevil points of his horns are also here as well, and they've sculpted in even the indication here of an ear, which is a nice touch. The 2Ds, double D, is a raised elevated surface, so it's not simply a case where they've just painted over top, just painted the D's onto his torso. Very muscular looking build here on Daredevil. And then of course you've got the complementing red gloves, red boots, the red belt, and the holster in which would have held the billy clubs. Now again, the billy clubs are more suited for displaying in his hand, so this section here has been just simply molded shut. Initially, I thought that the statue, I keep wanting to say figure, but the statue itself seemed a little on the squat side. I think the more I look at it and more acknowledging to the fact that he has bent knees will allow for the little slightly more shorter proportions here of him. If his legs were simply straight, he would of course look like a fully standard and average sized individual. Going back to some of the reds, one of the things I like also about the red is that it is of varying shades. So for example, the D's are a lighter shade of red than the dark burgundy that they've made use of in the belt and the gloves and the boots. I suppose the holster is also a slightly lighter shade of red, with the side straps here being of the darker burgundy variety. Some nice welcoming additional shade has been added to the gloves, so above the burgundy red that they've already used, you can see that there is a slightly darker shade that's been incorporated there as well. It allows just for the little bit of the creases and the little folds in the glove to show through here. And while we're on the topic of that, much of the additional shading has been supplied to the boot area here, where much like the creases of the gloves, the creases of the boots also have that little darkened areas of the burgundy incorporated here. Tip the boots upside down. Again, you've got the magnets on the undersides, which will allow it to attach to the display base. Again, my favorite aspect about this particular figure is the wire frame that they've made use of for the billy club. So it's, again, entirely up to you how you want to have it displayed. You could wrap it around his body, or you can just have it draped and looped. Just bend it again here. Once you get it into his hands, it's really up to your creativity as to exactly how you want to display it. And even once those handles are in place, you can continue just to bend and twist the rope, in this case the wire frame, to get exactly the look that you want. Okay, so the Kotobukiya ArtFX Defender Series Daredevil Black Suit statue should now be hitting store shelves and comic book stores. If you're interested in picking this one up for yourself, or the more traditional red costume, both are going to be available. And just to note as well that the red costume is the same mold. If I do get a chance to pick that one up, we're also going to have a look at him in a separate video. I kind of am glad, though, that we're having a look at the Defender series Daredevil first, because I know most traditional people would likely look at the red costume first. I specifically really digging the black costume. What I thought may have been lost sculpted points on the statue here of the Man Without Fear ultimately does look quite good in the black backdrop. And the red really shows and really pops against the black backdrop of the character. The head sculpt is exceptionally done well. It's one of my real favorite head sculpts of the Man Without Fear. This is really a nice piece. And I'm sure, as I've alluded through a couple of times in the course of this video, one of my all-time favorite aspects of this particular statue is the fact that it does have the wire frame connecting the one handle of the billy club to the other. So really, you can have it wrapped around its body, or what you can do is just get a little more creative and zany with the way that you've got the two connecting together. Kind of like what I've done here in Final Looks. A real icing on the cake, though, is that wire frame. Very nicely done by Kotobukiya, very nicely done on this particular statue. Today, once again, we are having a look at the Kotobukiya ArtFX Defender Series Daredevil Black Suit statue, which also was part of the snap fit. And as you can see, over the course of this video, we did put them together. They are extremely easy to put together pieces. We're going to have a look, like I said, at the red costume. We're going to have a look at that in a future video. And we're also going to do a whole bunch of other Kotobukiya pieces, so stay tuned to this channel. One thing that you can do to make sure that you're never going to miss a beat when it comes to future videos, Kotobukiya or not, is make sure you hit that little subscribe button that's just below this video. Also, you can hit the bell notification, but 100% guaranteed, best way you'll never miss out on new videos coming onto this channel is periodically making sure you head over to the main page and scroll down the section that says videos. Videos, everything I've ever posted will be there, so if there's anything you may have missed along the way, you can certainly find them on the home page. As always, guys, thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.